Hi, my name is Gautam Akiwate, and today I'm going to talk about a paper, Unresolved Issues, Prevalence, Persistence, and Perils of Lame Delegations. This is work that we did with folks at University of Twente, Matthias, and Raffaele, and my advisors at UC San Diego, Jeff, Stefan, and Casey. So first, let's start by talking about what exactly are lame delegations. A lame delegation is when a name server delegated authority over a domain is unable to provide, for whatever reasons, authoritative answers for that domain. Given that, why do we care about lame delegations? Well, first, the reason we care about lame delegations is because lame delegated domains take longer to resolve. Additionally, they result in increased load at name servers. Specifically, lame delegated domains result in wasted, unnecessary queries to name servers that are not authoritative for it. Specifically, as a concrete data point, consider that 12% of traffic to GoDaddy servers are for domains for which they are not authoritative. And finally, there is a potential for security risk. As we show in this paper, lame delegated domains are at a risk for their domain resolution to be hijacked. Given that lame delegations in practice happen at one of two levels. The first is the top level domain server level, and the second is the delegated name server level. At the top level domain server level, a lame delegation could occur because the domain owner incorrectly lists the name server at a registrar. At the delegated name server level, it could be because the delegated authoritative name server is misconfigured, unreachable, or unavailable. In either of these cases, the assumption is that it is the domain owner's action that led to the domain being lame delegated. However, as we see in this paper, that is not always the reason why domains may become lame delegated. In fact, in specific circumstances, registrar actions lead to domains being lame delegated. To formalize our understanding about lame delegations, we run a measurement study in two parts. The first part is a passive analysis that looks at 9 years of data, and the active measurement, which works off a current snapshot. The passive analysis uses 9 years of top-level domain zone files to do a longitudinal analysis. The dataset used is the DNS Coffee dataset, which you can find at this URL. And essentially what it is a daily snapshot of top-level domain zone files collected over a period of 9 years. As of October 2020, we collect and analyze roughly 1,250 top-level domains. This includes legacy GTLDs, new GTLDs, and 3C CTLDs. Essentially, as part of this analysis, we consider 500 million domains, 20 million name servers, and 5 million A records. Once we have all of this data, we then use our static resolution methodology, which I'll explain next, to determine if a name server can be resolved or not. The goal here is to get lower bound of lame delegations. As such, we make super conservative assumptions. The goal of the static resolution is to go from NS and A records in zone files to resolvable time periods for name servers. Essentially, these are time periods for which a name server has a valid resolution path. A name server has a valid resolution path in case it has a glue record, or the name server domain itself has a name server that is resolvable. As a reminder, we make conservative assumptions. So whenever we are in doubt about whether a name server is resolvable or not, we assume that the name server is resolvable. Consider a name server that has quad 8 as its glue record. We know that quad 8 cannot front an authoritative name server for a domain. However, given our assumptions and the fact that we want to find a lower bound on lame delegations, we consider this name server as resolvable too. To make this static resolution technique more concrete, let us consider ns1.foo.com. ns1.foo.com has a glue record from 2013 to 2015, and foo.com, which is the name server domain, itself is resolvable from 2013 to 2016 and 2017 to 2018. As such, ns1.foo.com has two resolvable time periods from 2013 to 2016 and 2017 to 2018. Next, let us introduce bar.com, which delegates to ns1.foo.com from 2012 to 2018. In this case, we can already see that bar.com has actually delegated to ns1.foo.com in its unresolvable time periods. That is to say, bar.com has been lame delegated as a result of ns1.foo.com being unresolvable at least in 3 time periods. For our analysis, we consider each of these 3 time periods separately. The first time period we call the pre-life time period. The pre-life time period is essentially when a domain delegates to a name server before it is first resolvable. This typically happens due to delayed registration of a name server domain. The graph on the right shows pre-life unresolvable name servers and the affected domains. As a concrete example, consider the 20,000 domains that were lame delegated for over a year in 2018 when the domain owner made a typo when entering the name server. Instead of entering dnsdone.net, they entered dsndone.net. Unfortunately, this was not just a lame delegation, but also a potential security risk. Because if a hijacker were to register dsndone.net, they would be able to control the domain resolution for over 20,000 domains. In fact, this is exactly what happened, and dsndone.net was quickly registered by another actor soon after. This led to an observation that functioning alternate name service can actually hide delegation issues from the domain owner. The second time period is the in-life time period. And this is typically when the name server is briefly unresolvable. This could happen because of a misconfiguration or delay in name server domain renewal. The graph on the right shows in-life unresolvable name servers and the affected domains. A classic example of in-life unresolvable name servers are the configure working group example. Originally, the configure working group set aside 3 name servers, cwgsh.com, .net, .org, as sync name servers for configure worm domains. Unfortunately, they allowed these domains to expire, and they were soon registered by other actors, allowing them access to a lot of domains. In a bid to prevent abuse, a major effort was made to move domains of cwgsh to configuresinkhole.com. Unfortunately, in 2015, the registration for configuresinkhole.com lapsed. Fortunately, it was renewed during the grace period. The third period is the post-lifetime period. In this case, we consider name servers that stop being resolvable. This typically happens because the name server domain expires and is not renewed. We also consider name servers that were never resolvable and put them in this time period. Instead of looking at a typical time series, let us look at the post-life unresolvable name servers and group them by top-level domain. We see that one top-level domain stands out, and it is the .biz top-level domain. In fact, 48% of all name servers ending in .biz are never resolvable. Given the scale of this issue, we reached out to the .biz registry and quickly realized that they had no visibility into this since name servers are being referenced in other top-level domains. So they show up in zone files if.com, .net, .org, and .info, for example. So this is not a .biz issue per se. Here is an example of a .biz post-life unresolvable name server. In this example, we use whitecounty.net, which is the official domain for White County, Georgia. Whitecounty.net has 2 name servers, ns1.hemc.net and ns2.internetemc.com. On July 1st, 2019, we see the name server ns2.internetemc.com change from that to ns2.internetemc randomcharacters.biz. Unfortunately, internetemc randomcharacters.biz is not registered. So if a hijacker were to actually register this domain, then they would have been the authoritative name server for whitecounty.net, which is an official county domain. This lame delegation existed for more than a year. And this strengthened our observation that functioning alternate name service can hide underlying delegation issues from the domain owner. Given the systematic nature of this issue, we kept digging at the .biz issue and found out that these lame delegations happened as a result of undocumented registrar practices to get around EPP constraints. Specifically, these lame delegations were not due to domain owner actions, but registrar actions. These registrar actions not only created lame delegations, but in some cases even created potential security risks. We know of tens of thousands of domains being affected, and not only being affected, but we have evidence of actors actually exploiting these vulnerable domains. If you're interested in learning more about these, I would highly encourage you to check out a paper and look at this section. Let us now talk about active measurement, which is the second part of our measurement study. As part of this active measurement campaign, we queried 49 million domains. This includes the entirety of .NET and .org. We also took a random sample of 13 million domains from .com and the new GTLDs. This measurement was done from a vantage point in Netherlands. And essentially what we did was for every domain name server pair in the zone files, we targeted NS queries to up to 5 IP resolutions for every name server. This exhaustive fan-out active measurement allowed us to identify partially lame domains. These are our active measurement results. We queried a total of 49 million domains, and we found out that 10% or so of domains we queried are fully lame. That is to say that they have no valid resolution path. 15% of the domains we queried are partially lame, which is to say they can have an alternate functioning name servers. What was surprising to us, however, was that lame delegation existed even in popular domain. Take, for example, archive.org, which is an Alexa 200 domain, and it still has a lame delegation. In this case, it's not a security risk, but a non-functioning name server. The example of archive.org and the prevalence of partially lame domains in .com, new GTLDs, .net, and .org again further strengthened our observation that functioning alternate name servers can hide broken delegations from the domain owner, and even so for popular domains. Next, we look at fully delegated name servers and their breakdown by top-level domain, and we again see that .biz stands out with 73% of the name servers that we queried were fully lame. Additionally, 47% of the name servers that we queried in the new GTLDs were also fully lame. Finally, we look at resolution time of lame delegated domains. We show that lame delegated domains show at least a 3.7x increase in the resolution time as a result of the lame delegation. The graph shows that depending on what percent of lame name servers a domain has, it can significantly affect the resolution time of a domain. There are lots more details and analysis in the paper, and I would highly encourage you to check out the paper. And with that, I'd like to summarize. Our paper found out that lame delegations are still prevalent in the DNS today. 15% of the domains we actively queried had a lame delegation. Moreover, redundancy can actually mask lame delegations from domain owners. Moreover, lame delegations are not just created due to domain owner actions, but also due to systematic issues. Specifically, they are an unintended consequence of registrar practices to get around EPP constraints. And finally, we document the impact that lame delegations can have. They create unnecessary load at the name server levels. They result in an increase in resolution time and essentially can put domains at the risk of their domain resolution being hijacked. And with that, I'd like to say thanks. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you.